Welcome back to the Players Ball podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens. Number one podcast in Stankonia. I'm my boy MB. I'm your host, Alex the Great. I'm gonna kick it off with a social question, man. So I'm in a situation right now, and I really don't know how to handle it. So I'm gonna ask you an intro question, and I'm gonna go into the situation. So, when was the last time you made a new male friend?
I think true male friend has to be when we joined our small group
Hmm.
through church. And that was back in 2018. Um it actually was it happened to be someone who I knew from work, like knew of him from work, knew people that knew him, but I was not necessarily friends with him at the time.
Yeah.
And they were doing an event at church where small group leaders would just kind of like meet with people, see if there's anyone interested in joining their small group. Our small group is for young married couples with kids. Um, I don't think it was with kids at the time. It was just young married
Young married.
couples.
Hmm.
And so we started going to small group, and we really enjoyed the company. It's like five couples, so there's about five other males in our group that become like pretty close friends with over the years.
You guys
But
are even taking a trip, right?
yeah, we've taken several trips. We've gone to Mexico. We've gone to Florida. We've gone to Alabama. We've gone on cruises. We're gonna go on a cruise in February. So
Nice.
yeah, we're all pretty close. But outside of that, well, I mean, I text with my next door neighbor. Right, he's a male father figure. Not his son did happen to play soccer with Bennett, which helped kind of break the ice a little bit. But uh, we've gotten to know them a little bit over the last, I guess, 2 years. But no,
Okay.
it's not a frequent experience, right?
Right. Right. So, over the weekend, me and Brittany we had a night off. So we stepped out for a little bit. We went to an old watering hole of ours, and we're just sitting there, kicking it, having a good time. And we struck up a conversation with this guy. His name is Muhammad, and he was just really dope, man. Like, we had similar interests. He cooks. He's a foodie, so we talked a lot about food. We talked about romance. I'm there with my wife, right? Um, and I was telling Brittany, like, so what do I do? Do I do I, do I ask him for his number? Right? So yeah, why not? Because he had went to the bathroom and he came back. I was like, yeah, man, you're pretty cool. Let me get your number. And that's where it ended. I don't know how to. Every time I think about it, it's like, well, should I text him? He has my number too. Should he text me first? It's an odd situation when adult males, you know, like each other, for lack of a better word, right? And that's not the first time I had that situation. We were a few years back. We were hooping in my in-laws neighborhood. Met this guy, man. Recent. It sounds real sus in the description, right? I met this fella. He had just moved from like Seattle, and we ended up on the same team, and we had some good runs. Like, we were zigging and zagging we were on one accord. We won a bunch of games, and then we just kind of chopped it up afterward. And I was thinking in my head, like, man, should I ask for his number? I don't know how to approach that. I don't know how to make new friends. Now, I'm glad you brought up church, because that was the last when I was in my men's group. That was the last time that I think I have made new. adult male friends outside of some of my kids' friends' dads, some cool dads. I got a friend named John, right? But I count that. That's Grayson's friend who became my friend, right? Meeting somebody new and striking up a chord and becoming something, right? Like more than acquaintances. Like, hey man, let's go get a beer, or let's check out this new restaurant. I just feel like it's super difficult, man. So I just wanted to see where you were at with that. And I'll quickly transition that into actual sports talk from Atlanta because I think that can spiral. Kirk Cousins is going to have to meet Michael Penix, and we want them to be friends. It does not seem like the stars are aligning just yet. It's not necessarily over, but there was an article that came out that said Kurt only left the Vikings, which ta ta ta, no no no, said he left the Vikings because they expressed to him that they were interested in drafting a rookie quarterback. Right, that he's not. He's like, all right, well, I'm not interested in that, and left. But the other part that they leave out was the guaranteed money was significantly less. So he left for the money. That might have also been a factor. But they're saying that he left. He didn't have a desire to have a young quarterback sitting behind him looking over his shoulder. Where are you with that now? Because that's the exact situation that he's in. He's gonna get paid $100 million regardless. So deal with it. But obviously, I would like it to be done amicably.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never get the tea, so to speak, from the horse's mouth. But people do like to speculate, and as you mentioned, they like to leave details out in order to spin a certain narrative, right? And you mentioned the guaranteed money, but you didn't mention the fact that, in Minnesota, had Kirk stayed, he basically would be playing on a 1-year deal. So with Atlanta, he did get another year pretty much guaranteed and an opportunity to maybe go 3 or 4, right?
Hmm.
And you know, I hope I hope that Kirk sees the situation and he doesn't feel slighted by it. I would understand if he did feel some kind of way about it, but from everything I've heard, you know, Kurt and Michael had good conversation, after the draft, after the pick was made. He's seems like he's open to kind of taking Michael Penix underneath his wing and helping him grow and develop as a player. And at the end of the day, um, I hear people like Bryce Butler talk about um, being an athlete, being a professional athlete, and like it is a business, and you have to remember that they operate as a business,
Hmm.
and everybody is expendable. And
Yeah.
I've seen some things. Oh man, I think it was a couple Georgia players who had their rookie years, had finished their rookie seasons, and they were just talking about how people come and go when you're in college, but it's like people enter the transfer portal from semester to semester or whatever. The turnover happens, but the length of time in between turnover is usually several months. And it's like
Mm.
you get into the NFL, you get into the pros, and like you meet someone today, you don't know if they're going to be there tomorrow kind of
Right.
situation. Like it's a dog eat dog world, and it's just the nature. So I do think Kirk's going to be a professional about it, and I really just hope that some of what we're hearing is just people wanting to spin a narrative, people wanting
Mhm.
to generate some conversation, some talk,
Clickbait.
and yeah, and I hope it just doesn't become a big thing, right? Because it
Yeah,
shouldn't.
it shouldn't. You know what I heard? I read an article about the decision to draft Michael Penix, and there was that video that was floating around where um, I almost said Dimitrov, Terry Fontenot. They're in the war room, and Arthur Blank pulls him in close, and it looks like they're having like this intense moment, and Terry starts to explain, well, we did this for this reason and that. So and they spelled it out like he was justifying the pick to Arthur Blank. But I read an article that said that Arthur Blank's hands were all over that, right? The decision, we've talked about it before, like not wanting to be back in a situation where we're doing a quarterback shuffle. That was him, obviously in tandem with his GM and head coach, but it's not like that was just another narrative situation where they showed that video and it's like Arthur Blank's upset about the pick. Why did they do that? He wants to win now. And now come to find out, Mr. Blank won it the whole time. The other thing is everyone who talks about Arthur Blank, players wise, just have the utmost respect for him, right? So if it's known that it was his decision, and I'm sure he's going to have a Kurt, if he hasn't already had a conversation with Kurt about it, um, it feels like he'll get on board, right? I don't anticipate that being something that would be a huge hindrance moving forward. The last thing about that is I feel like I know Kirk Cousins, right? After watching the quarterback between him and Patrick Mahomes, that Netflix show really provided some true um, perspective on who they are, what they go through, right? Having their families on there, cameras around all the time. I know him. He doesn't seem like he's the type that would just be like, "Nah, kid, get out of my face," right? He's a
Yeah.
dad. He just seems like a genuinely nice guy. I don't see him giving Michael Penix a cold shoulder, and that works out best for the Falcons.
Not to keep plugging Bryce Butler, but he did a he did a podcast with some former MLB players, and they were talking golf. And he was talking about when he was playing in Dallas and one of the situations where, yeah, Tony Romo was at his locker with a set of clubs, and Bryce comes up to him and is like, "Oh yeah, man, Tony, we should go hit the links one day." And Tony was like, "I ain't playing with you," and just
Mm,
like straight up told him like, "Nah, I'm not playing golf with you." But he goes on to say like part of the story is like it's hard when you're not a golfer and you're trying to get into the sport and other people are golfers.
yeah,
They don't necessarily want to play with inexperienced player because it can slow the pace of the game and this and that. But anyways, it also
do
comes
you golf?
off. Nah, not really. I like we started back in senior year or junior year in high school hitting the driving range, and so I've kept
You
up.
remember lifting them clubs down in
I
in
had
Miami?
nothing to do with that.
Yeah, you took the 5-9 and the 6-iron and the driver. Man, you took all of them. We were just watching you go crazy. I remember it very
No,
specifically.
y'all are fools. I may have been driving the vehicle, but that was about
Yeah,
it.
getaway driver. Nah,
But
yeah, the
no,
driving range was fun, but I've been on the links. And I appreciate my father-in-law for getting me out there just because of exactly what you said. Like a lot of people don't want to get out there with a new golfer. Not only did he get me out there, he gave me tips when I was struggling. So, I've actually played I played with coworkers at this point. Right when I went to a little leadership conference out in Arizona, I got a round in, and obviously I didn't win, but I was able to hold my own. I hit some good shots, and I was able to have a good time. Right, so I can. There's one thing to just be absolute trash. I'm not gonna be out there. I don't have to win. It's nice. I'm not gonna do something with people I've never done it with before if I'm just boo boo. I just can't do it. Let's call it the man in me.
Yeah, so one of the things Bryce was talking about, and I have played golf, like full rounds of golf. It's just not
Mm,
something I necessarily would seek out after to do myself. Like
mm.
if someone wants to play golf, yeah, sure, I'll go play a round of golf. But what he was saying is like you can play and have fun and learn, and what you do is you hit the ball. If you have a terrible shot, whoever had the best ball, you just drop yours next to theirs and you hit from there your second shot. You don't necessarily keep score, but you keep the
Yeah, best
pace
ball.
going.
They
Yeah,
call it best ball. Yeah.
but it keeps the pace going, right? So like you can play
Hmm.
with some less experienced players and it not be a complete drag. But I brought this conversation up just to illustrate, that was a quarterback in a position to be a good teammate and a leader, and he chose to be kind of a chump. And uh,
That's a
he,
little different, right? If Bryce would have asked him if he can sit in like his film review, and he said no, then it's like, all right, maybe you're just an asshole. But no, golf is his time away from football, right? Maybe he just didn't want his teammates to do it.
yeah, I mean, I can see that perspective as well, but I also hear about the Braves and the bonding that those guys have, and the relationships and the fraternity these guys build in the locker room, and uh, it doesn't seem very brotherly. And it may have meant nothing. You know, he may have taken no offense to it, but I bring all that up to say, like, I don't see Kirk Cousins being the guy that tells Michael Penix or anybody else on the team to kick rocks.
I'm
You
not
know,
golfing with you.
yeah, like I see Kirk saying, "Heck yeah, let's go,
Yeah.
chains and all."
The other concern is that they think that Michael Penix is gonna wanna, eventually he's gonna wanna get out there, right? Which he will, but he knows the situation he was drafted into as well,
I know
right?
the competitor in me would want to go out there, but could you like you were picked number 8 overall. I don't know what the rookie salary is for an 8th overall pick is anymore, but it's several $1,000,000. And it's like, you want to pay me that much money just to sit back and learn? Like, I got nothing to really complain about.
Yeah. He's got the opportunity to train, right? Learn at a professional level,
Stay healthy.
and stay healthy. And again, I'm on your ass, Kurt, right? But I'm learning from you. It's not an aggression. It's like I'm doing everything I can to eventually get in there, right? I'm just not going. I might not necessarily make the point.
I think the bigger controversy will come up if Kurt struggles at all. And you will hear the fan base saying, "Put
Yep.
Michael Penix in." And that's where it will come. I think it will come more from the outside, from the fans, than it will from like inside the locker room.
I mean, the coaches don't listen to us. Look at the situation we had with Arthur Smith, right? We were begging for Dez when when Marcus Mariota was starting. He's like, "No, Marcus is our quarterback."
No, I'm not saying that the coaches would listen to us. I'm just saying,
It is
like, if there's
pressure, though.
any
No, I get
if there's any controversy, right, the controversy will be caused or generated by the fans stirring controversy, not true locker room controversy.
you. Yeah. The other article, I know you didn't make it all the way through it, but there was an article that came out about the rookie QB situation ranking. And at the top of the list was Michael Penix, for the reason that he had some injuries, so now he has the time to get healthy. He's been healthy the last 2 years, right? But he has the time to sit. They mentioned a couple of names as far as quarterbacks who were not afforded that situation, and somewhat floundered out. We talked about a couple of those guys last week, like Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, uh, Mitchell Trubisky. Who was the other Pittsburgh quarterback? He's gone. Um, Pittman, Kenny
Kenny
Pickett, Kenny
Pickett.
Pickett.
I mean, you can throw Justin Fields in that list, right?
Justin Fields. I saw a really interesting article about him. They said they might want to have him to return kicks.
I saw that. It's got to
You
be for
saw that?
clicks, right? Like there's
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty fire with the rock in his hand, but that seems I don't know. I don't know.
we
If
also
he's willing to do that, I think Mike Tomlin will look at that like, yeah, nah, this is my guy moving forward. Russ
yeah,
will just be that bridge. But
yeah,
you don't want to potentially injure your future
backup
franchise quarterback on kick returns.
backup quarterback.
Yeah. You say he's a backup forever? Oh, you say you don't want to injure your backup quarterback.
You don't want to injure
Yeah.
your backup quarterback because
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Danger Russ is gonna be back there.
Dangerous. Oh, man,
He
I'm
strikes
pulling
me.
for him. I'm pulling for him.
He strikes me as a guy that would not be a good locker room teammate, right?
Really?
Yeah, like it's too much about him for him to like take take someone underneath his wing, right? Like just the antics you hear about things that he does, like his teammates, I haven't heard a lot of positive stuff about him. I mean, I think you've mentioned it before, like Richard Sherman, um, none of those guys really had anything.
Earl Thomas, the
Marshawn
linebacker.
Lynch,
Yeah. But it's
no,
just them, like the vocal ones.
yeah,
Now
may,
they are the vocal ones, and they're all on one accord, right? But I don't know. He gives me the same vibes as like Tim Tebow, right? You know how Tim Tebow was. He might be praying before a game, and people are like, "Oh, look at that weirdo." It's like, man, he's just talking to the Lord, man. Like, relax. You might
yeah,
have he just might be super friendly, and people not. This football's a tough man sport, so they're like, "Hey, man, why are you smiling all the time?" Right? It's like, well, I'm happy. I'm sorry. He seems like that type of guy to me, and that type of guy, I would say, is willing to go above and beyond to help his teammates.
oh no, I don't get those same vibes. I get the opposite. Uh,
Yeah.
not overly friendly, just like very. I will never doubt his competitive nature and his work ethic. Right, like he seems like
Hmm.
one of those that's like always gonna be grinding, uh, but with his own ambition and his own goals in mind, and not necessarily team focus.
Yeah, I'm complete opposite of that.
Yeah,
I think he's the consummate professional and teammate. I think the Broncos country thing just got in people's heads, and they just see him as this weird cat, man. But I
working
don't
out
watch
on
a whole lot of
airplanes and stuff.
Yeah, it was a private jet, right?
I think it was the team
A
plane.
team plane.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I didn't see the footage. I did hear about it, right? It seems a little off, but hey, man, this is a good time to get a lift in. What else you gonna do?
I don't know.
Do
Maybe
some
it's
jumping
that
jacks.
too many hits over the course of his career starting to add up, make him a little
Yeah.
crazy.
Nah, I won't say Russ is crazy, man. I'll let you do that. All right, well, we have strayed off of the Falcons, man. Let's keep straying off of a non-Falcon. So they're non-Falcon, but Atlanta, but he don't play for us. But we're gonna start with an Atlanta player, Trey Young. Trey Young sent out a tweet, and he said, I don't want to mess it up. Let me read it exactly.
it,
He
it was
it was a response. Everything Georgia said. Whole state of Georgia is rooting for Antman to win it all, 100%. And Trey Young responded, "Should have been a Hawk to start, but that's for another day." Where you at with that? What does that mean?
I don't know. Trey's been in the news a little bit lately,
Uh,
and um, he was interviewed or did a podcast.
he has a podcast.
I don't know if it was in the podcast or if it was in another interview where he basically said, and not Well, in so many words, he said, I want to be in Atlanta, but I want to win. Right. And that's all that matters to him. And you could kind of
Yeah.
hear the frustration in his voice. Right.
Hmm.
So I think that that comment also stems from that frustration or that place of like just wanting to win. And I don't know, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. I don't know on what planet we would have been able to get
We had the
Ant-Man.
sixth pick
Did Ant-Man
that
not
year.
go 1 overall?
Yeah, he went number one overall. So I got a little deeper into the article, and it was saying that so we drafted Onyeka with number 6. So it's kind of it feels a little bit like a slight to him, but Anthony Anthony Edwards is crazy. So anyone everyone should understand. Like, oh well, yeah, I get it. I would have took him over me too. The article said that Minnesota wasn't a full lock to get him with the number one. Like they were interested in moving. Maybe they want to move down to 6, or maybe the Hawks didn't want to offer up, the King's ransom to get up there and get him. But him and Trey Young would have been crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think that's what Trey is alluding to. Not that I think he's saying like, man, yeah, he should have been a Hawk with me. Not like I want to be where he is. He does. Everyone does. I like to be in his position right now. Nah, that's yeah, of course. I'm a hooper at heart. That'd be
Yeah.
fire. He is killing it, man. Playoff Ant Man is now a thing, and I hate it. And they got the commercials. I'm like, oh, is playoff Jason a thing? And he says no because he's not. The Celtics are they're not gonna win nothing. But
Playoff Jimmy? I mean, playoff Jimmy's the thing.
playoff Jimmy is a thing. You saw he got in a little trouble. He came up with the Hawks as well in a Hawks conversation. He made it known that he thought if he was on the court against Boston, that the Heat would have beat Boston. And Pat Riley, in like almost exact words, was like, "If you're not playing, you need to shut your mouth." He said, "Shut your mouth," or
Mm.
"Keep your mouth shut." One of those two variations. And then he was asked, "Are you trading Jimmy?" I was like, "No, I'm not." So this could all just be spin as well, but they were saying that maybe Jimmy would want to be on his way out now.
Mm.
Maybe he could come to the Hawks.
I mean, a healthy Jimmy Butler and a Trey Young, that would be a crazy front court.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think so. There was a massive discussion today on Dukes and Bell about what to do with Trey Young, and it was really interesting hearing some of the callers call in, and it seemed pretty split. Like a lot of people were like, let Trey go and let's roll with DeJounte.
Mm.
One caller, came in and said, I've had season tickets for the last 4 years and the most exciting games that we've had in that stretch. I don't know if it's actually 4 years, so don't quote me on that. But he had been a season ticket holder for a little while now, and the most exciting games he had been to were when Trey was out and DeJounte was running the point, and DeJounte hit a couple game winning shots and um, things during that time, and it was just interesting from like an actual season ticket holder's perspective that they actually enjoyed the product, the entertainment factor uh, when Trey was out.
There's some recency bias there, right? I know they beat Boston back to back, and one of those games was a Dejounte game winner. The team wasn't good. They were no better with Dejounte than they were with Trey Young, right? So
Yeah, so
Charles
the
Barkley said something the other night. He said Anthony Edwards is one of them guys, right? And you have to have one of them guys in order to make it in the playoffs to win. Trey Young to me is one of those guys. We saw what he did to the Knicks. We saw what he did to Philly. Now, given that was 4 years ago, so he probably bought his season tickets after that season, and they have not lived up to the hype. I understand his frustration, the season ticket holder. Um, Dejounte, I think, is fire, but he's not one of those guys. He's not a number one. He could be a 1B, Trey can be a number one. You just need a super dope number two, and I think that number two needs to be a big. We won't go down that road again, but
Zach Edey.
Zach Edey,
Got to say
Taylor
it three
Swift,
times for
Bitcoin, Drake.
Got to put it into the algorithm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Zach Edey. That you know how I'm getting down. But I don't think DeJounte. If we keep DeJounte and trade Trey, w- I don't know what we trade him for. Um, but whatever we get back has to be better than DeJounte. Not even an equal.
Well, so here's the. I'll put a little bit of my GM cap on for a second, and this is one of the big conversation pieces is DeJounte's value in terms of how the league looks at him is kind of at a low spot compared to it's much lower than what we paid for him, right?
No
So
one even saw it being that high when we did it. They were up in arms. I think that might have got almost as much coverage as Michael Penix going number 8, man. When we get all those first round picks and who was it? Like I think it was D'Lo Gallinari.
yeah. But either way, that's water under the bridge. We tried
Mhm.
to trade DeJounte at the trade deadline and couldn't get a return that the front office felt was even worthy of um, listening
Moving.
to.
Mhm.
So the general thought process is, well, DeJounte's game is DeJounte can ball, right?
Yeah, he's a
And
hooper for sure.
the we may not have been better with DeJounte than we were when we had Trey, but we weren't worse.
We
And
weren't a lot worse.
if we were worse, it was very, very small. We were actually probably better in some categories, uh,
Yeah.
mainly defense, with DeJounte. So the premise though is that you actually have value in Trey. The league values Trey. You could get more in return for Trey than you are going to get if you try to let go of DeJounte.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I think the general viewpoint of the fan base and the media is that they're both not going to be here next year. So, logically speaking, it makes sense that we would move Trey because we could get the most bang for our buck.
Yeah.
But you
I
even
get
brought
that.
up that Quinn Snyder really likes DeJounte, and
Mhm.
we don't necessarily know exactly where he stands on Trey, like what
We
his
don't.
feelings are on Trey. So
We don't know that Quinn Snyder is the coach that he was advertised to be either. Right? He did have an all NBA defender on every team that he had success with in Rudy Gobert, and we see what he's done for Minnesota. And he had Donovan Mitchell, who is he's I won't say a perennial All Star because I think he's had more snubs than appearances, but he's a dog. He can get to the bucket. He scores at will, right? Those two combined is the product that he had, and they allowed him to have success. He doesn't have that now. You know, could he coach around it? It doesn't look like he can. I, I don't want to blow it up yet, though. It's a huge yet. Trading DeJounte and getting back marginal pieces doesn't move us anywhere unless we draft Zach Edey. Trading Trey Young and getting back marginal pieces, we'll probably get better. We'll definitely get better pieces than we would for DeJounte. But I don't think that puts us over the top either, right? We're gonna bring in Kevin Durant, right?
I don't want him.
If he's available, I get him in here for Trey Young. If we have to lose Trey, I want another superstar. I just don't know who we're gonna get. The big news is about the Lakers. Like the Lakers ain't got nobody I want. Not a person. right? Even not even street clothes. Who actually had a really really good year, and Anthony Davis is fire, right? He's a great player, but he's just not reliable. Um, he was this year for first time in a while. I don't know, man. I don't know what the Hawks do, but it's looking more and more like the only option is a massive explosion, like blow it up and start over.
So one thing we haven't really talked about is when we let go or traded John Collins to the Jazz, it came with a, don't quote me on the exact number, but a 20 something $1 million uh salary exemption
Hmm.
that's just kind of sitting there, right? And so what that does is it gives us a salary cap um luxury tax exemption, if you will. So that amount of money, our our threshold is reduced, like our actual salary payroll is reduced by that quantity, so that we don't necessarily cross that threshold into the different luxury tax levels.
Hmm.
So we have until July something to make use of that 20 plus $1 million exemption. So,
Wonder when free agency starts.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I believe the NBA does it backwards, right? It's the draft and then free agency, whereas everyone else has kind of free agency and then the draft.
Hmm.
Um but yeah,
July
so
6th, free agency opens, and what day did you say? It was just like mid July. You thinking?
I don't know the exact date. I think it's early July. It may be July 6th. We may have to expend it on like day 1 of free agency. Um but that being said, we have some leeway. I don't know who's going to be available, but we have some money we should be able to go out and spend.
Yeah, yeah. Does this general management group give you confidence that that's something that they would do well?
No, not in particular. And it was interesting you brought up Arthur Blank earlier, and part of the discussion I was listening to on Dukes and Bell, they brought up Arthur, and there's one thing that you will never doubt about Arthur Blank, and that's his desire to win a championship and do it in this city, right? He may
Right.
not know how to get there, but you will never question his desire to win a championship. Tony Wrestler has come out and said multiple times that money will not be a factor, right? They will pursue, they will do whatever they need to do to build a championship team, and yet year after year they do the exact opposite,
Hmm.
and it just sounds like lip service and gives me zero faith that Tony Wrestler actually cares about winning a championship in this city, and he is just here to sell tickets and to collect money.
Yeah, I'm with you. You plug in your son. I ain't got nothing against a little nepotism, right? I hope to be able to use it to my advantage one day myself, right? Plug my kids into some wonderful positions that I had thoroughly prepared them for, though, is the difference that I would say that I'm gonna do. But yeah, you plugs them in. They don't look like they know what they're doing.
I mean,
I was looking at the free agents. LeBron has a player option. We we signed Bron. We draft Bronny. I think he pulled out of the draft.
no, Bronny's still there. I'm pretty sure he's left it open so he can be drafted, or if he doesn't get drafted, he can return to college. Although he's put his name in the transfer portal, so it won't be at
Right.
USC.
I thought I saw that he like his draft stock had plummeted, and
A lot
that
of
he had
the
decided to.
a
Go
lot
back.
of the former NBA players that do different shows,
Hmm.
analysts now, former players, current analysts, they say he's not an NBA prospect. Like he's just his game
Mm.
is not it. But you know somebody will draft him or bring him in just to bring in Braun and let that experiment just at least happen for a year. Like they'll give it some run.
Basketball is guaranteed money. And
Yeah,
you sign a rookie contract, it's gonna be for 4 years.
yeah. Doesn't mean
It
you'll
says
play.
Bronny James NBA decision. Son of LeBron James could declare, transfer, or return to USC. So it's undecided, but that was from April 4th. That's a month old. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I mean, I don't. Yeah, if LeBron wants to come to Atlanta, obviously I bring him, but I don't think that that's gonna happen.
I don't want him. I don't
We
want him
wouldn't have
to.
to have him that long. We put him on the same clock as Kirk Cousins.
Man, we
Give
just
us a
get.
championship within the next 2 years. If he wants to win another one, he's got to get out of the West. It's too the West is too strong, man.
I don't think Braun can win another one. Like, I
It's the
just
right
don't.
team.
I don't think his game is there anymore.
What?
He,
You don't
he,
sound like a man who follows basketball right now, Matty.
I know his stats, man. You don't have to bring him up, but if you watch him play, man, he doesn't hustle on, but like maybe a tenth of the game. He's got more Emmys than NBA trophies.
I know
Like,
you're a LeBron fan, but you did convert to a LeBron hater. That's showing right now on your face.
I mean, call it what you want to call it, but man, just watch his highlights or lowlights, if you will.
This man played in 71 games this
Yeah,
year.
and in the biggest on the biggest stage, he had one job to guard uh what's his name, Aaron Gordon, and he was losing that man all over the place. Wasn't going
Aaron
after
Gordon did
rebounds.
not beat the Lakers.
He
You're
had a
sounding
hand in
even
it.
crazier with every comment that you make about this situation.
Aaron Gordon was a piece of why they lost. There's five players on the
Jamal
court.
Murray, Joker is. There are 5 players on the basketball court, but we all know that it's your dogs that they get you over the top, right? Everyone has NBA quality players on their roster. Aaron Murray may have been. He was a major
Jamal.
contributor, or Aaron Gordon,
Yeah.
major contributor to their success, but it wasn't because he was abusing LeBron at
He
all.
he
Not even
sparked a few of
close.
those runs. Some of those comeback runs.
Okay, you don't make me do this. Lakers. He had one game, 29 points. The other game he had 7. The game before that he had 7, and the game before that he had 14 and 12.
Look
So
at the
he got down
boards.
one game. No, that's what he does. He rebounds and he defends. But you were saying that he was just blowing Bron out the water. Bron, he looked old and lazy and then not hustling. And this man
Yeah,
played
like
almost every game. He played the most games at 39 than he did within the last like 4 years. And during the playoffs, he averaged almost 30. What more do you want from him? His team is not good. It's not on Bron. Bron is not
this.
washed.
So all those guys are a bunch of scrubs
They ain't Denver Nuggets.
who are getting run out the gym by Antman.
You have no respect for Anthony Davis, right?
I don't think he's reliable.
He's not.
He's
I'm not
soft.
disagreeing with you on that, right? He's the second best player. D'Angelo Russell is even more reliable than him. And then they just have a bunch of old Hawks. And if we let him go, right?
Yeah.
No, man. If Bron wants to play his last year as a Hawk, we need to accept him. It would be ludicrous to do anything but.
I'll tell you one thing: it would sell a lot of tickets,
Yeah, yeah, it would. It certainly would.
and we'd probably be in the play-in again,
Nah, not in the East.
just to get
LeBron comes back to the East if he can play 70 games again. Top three, top three finish in the East, easy.
against who, man?
The rest of the East, right? Like Boston will be up there again. They're a great regular season team. Um,
The Bucks, the
Milwaukee is
Knicks.
okay, but they didn't look like that worked out. Like they were trash on defense with Dame. The Knicks look like they're the real deal. Orlando is up and coming. Neither
the
one of them can beat LeBron James.
the Bucks would still be in the playoffs had they
Yeah,
not
yeah, they would
had.
still be in the playoffs because the East is so weak. No one's scared of the Magic. No one's scared of the Cavs. No one's scared of the Hawks. Miami without Jimmy Butler, right? The East is weak. I used to be an East defender. It's weak. Without LeBron, it's pathetic over here, man. Pathetic. Like the Pacers. You think the Pacers would beat LeBron James? He could join this Hawks staff right now and beat the Pacers.
I don't think so.
Absolutely, he could. I have no doubt about it. Sign me up for that, dog. And it's not close, right?
Yeah, I don't
I
think
might buy
we.
season tickets, trade my Falcons tickets for Hawks tickets. Brian comes over here, and I had some Brian hate in my blood too, but I do respect him as goat two goat,
There's only one goat.
goat light, a
Want a
goat,
goat?
almost goat.
Want a goat? Yeah, like,
Yeah,
I
man, you talking crazy.
don't get me wrong. I respect LeBron's game. He's an outstanding athlete. He is still serviceable, but
Serviceable.
he's a shell of what he was. And when I look at a player that I want a dog, and I don't see a dog in LeBron.
Yeah, we ain't getting no dog, man. We ain't getting one. We're gonna have to trade for some old ass superstar like Kevin Durant eh, or LeBron, and it's not gonna work. They're talking about bringing in Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram ain't gonna move no needle, right? Great player, good defense, can score from every area on the court. He ain't putting the Hawks above like 7, 8. We're still playing with him.
So, which team are you announcing that you will be changing your loyalties to?
None.
What's going
I'm a
on?
Hawks fan. It. I'll tell you what happens is just I end up watching less basketball. When the product is not as good, I watch less NBA ball overall. I don't switch sides. Now I always watch the playoffs, so and I'm watching them now. Not like right now, but like in this time of our lives.
Yeah,
Um, but
that's
no,
pretty much what
regular season just wasn't do as much.
I pretty much only watch the playoffs.
Mm. When the Hawks are good, I watch a lot of Hawks. I mean, I even watched. I watched a bunch of Hawks games this year. I probably watched not a bunch. I would say probably 10 games.
I don't
It's not
think
a
I
lot
caught.
out of 82. I don't. I didn't go to a game. Did I go to a game? I don't think I did. And last season, I went to like 5, 6 games.
I don't think I caught a single Hawks game in its entirety this season, outside of the play-in.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I watched like 10 regular season from start to finish at least. Yeah. Hey, we were transitioning to the Braves, but before you talk about the Slaughterfest out west, um, are you able to watch them right now?
Yeah,
I saw an article that said that Bally was battling with Xfinity, and Xfinity customers couldn't watch them right now.
not an
So are you using
Xfinity
an
com.
Xfinity? Ah, well, there you have it. So the battery, the picture that was in the article, you saw that?
Yeah, because the building right outside the stadium is the Xfinity building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But from the press box, they showed this screen that you cannot watch the game, and he circled Xfinity over there. I'm so sick of Bally, man. They gotta go ahead and get up out of here.
Yeah, I don't really understand what's going on with Bally because Bally, from what I understand, went bankrupt, right?
All right, how they
And
still had this? It's their ownership group, Diamond Channel or something like that.
yeah, and I think Amazon has something to do with it, and it's gonna
Mm.
eventually be offered on Prime or I don't
That's what we
I
heard. I haven't heard news about that though in a couple months.
right. So I don't really know what's going on inside that whole thing, but as a non-Xfinity uh customer, I do have Xfinity.
Unimpacted.
I do have Xfinity internet, but I do not get my cable through Xfinity. I get it
Mm.
through DirecTV, and with that, I have no issues.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the ugly weekend it was.
So
West Coast swing.
I want to take one step back because the whole West Coast trip, not just what transpired in Hollywood, but we went out on the road and went 1-5,
Hmm.
which is abysmal. Uh, we no longer are leading our division.
Yep.
We have become second fiddle to the Phillies, which
Fiddling fiddlies.
absolutely kills me to say because I can't stand the Phillies. You want some real hatred? It's not against LeBron. I hate the dang Phillies.
Phillies or Saints.
Phillies, ah, Saints.
That's tough. That's tough. It is
Yeah.
tough. Phillies are close, but it's still the Saints.
Honestly,
There's just something there.
the Saints historically, but without Drew Brees and Sean Payton, don't get me wrong, I still absolutely despise the Saints, but they don't get under my skin the way
Oh
Drew
yeah, yeah. No, it's
Brees and
definitely
Sean
during
Payton
that
did.
era.
Right.
Oh, you're talking
So,
about since they've departed the Saints.
yeah, they don't give me the same ick. Like they used to make my skin crawl. Now I
Yeah,
just don't
trash.
now I just don't like them, right? Like
Yeah,
I just want to beat them.
but the Phillies.
But the Phillies, they make my skin crawl.
Yeah,
Uh, I can't stand
to
the
hear about their
Phillies.
treatment of the skipper's wife when she went to the game and how they say you can't wear your opposing jerseys to Phillies games because they will just get on you. Sometimes it'll end up in violence, right? That's what grinds my gears. Uh, yeah, they're up there for sure.
We at work we had a machine that we bought. Well, say they purchased before I started working there, and one of my
Mm,
first projects, I helped get it up and running, and we had to have one of their technicians come and train, our maintenance personnel, and he was from Philly,
ugh.
and I used to just talk to him, and he would tell me about how awful the city has gotten with the drug addictions and the homeless and the trash all over the city, and how it's just run down and just the people there are awful. And he spun it in such a way, I'm like, I would never want to visit there.
I actually want to go to Philly. Here they got some fire food, a lot of history.
There is a
Um,
lot of history there, and
yeah.
I could see definitely going just to see the history, but man, there's nothing appealing outside of that to the city of Philadelphia in my
We probably give
eyes.
them a good run for their money as far as homeless. Homeless for homeless, we might be on top. But the city of Atlanta does, I think they do a good job with the trash, right? That's one thing that's like up top. They don't do it the same. Like even in New York, when I was in New York in March, right? We were there on a trash day, and everyone they put their trash in the front, and they have to because you need some level of efficiency. You can't have these big old trucks running through um, back alleys, right? But just piles and piles and piles of trash. You just walk right by it, you ignore it like the people ignore you.
Yeah. But yeah, their fan base is trash. Their city is trash. The whole organization is trash now. I mean, they got some
Yeah,
good players. They got a good
they do.
squad.
I was hoping that we would sign who was up for free agency? Aaron Nola, I think it was.
Yeah, they tried.
Mm-hmm.
They tried. I will say, you can't deny the loyalty that Phillies fans have for their team, but their
Oh yeah.
complete lack of class is what gets me. You
Eagles
can,
too. We got an Eagles fan during football season. That guy's he's just an asshole. I was just sending random things, and then they have a diehard fan base to where they have fans here. And
yeah,
anytime I'm with Carlos, 100% of the time we will see an Eagles fan here.
yeah,
We saw him at the Falcons game. That's less rare because people wear opposing jerseys, but we'll go to a bar, we'll go to a restaurant. We went to California Pizza Kitchen one time after church, and an Eagles fan walked in with an Eagles jersey on. Like, man, we just worship the Lord. God, you doing this to me? You gonna give him this one?
man. Carlos and I used to have like this back and forth banter we would do in the fantasy league where I would just like we just clown each other's teams
Mm,
almost to the point where like if you didn't know we were friends, you would think we hated each other because
yeah.
we would take shots back and forth.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I like to see the Eagles lose. And I think if he wasn't a fan of them, it wouldn't give me as much enjoyment.
I honestly don't have hatred for the Eagles. I like some of their players, especially last year when DeAndre Swift was the running
Mm.
back. I really like DeAndre Swift. He was one of my favorite recent Georgia Bulldogs.
I
But
mean, they're
now,
fully Bulldogs right now, right?
yeah.
You might be a closet supporter, right?
I mean, I want all those guys to do well, so it is tough. Like I love Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Keely Ringo. He's alright. Um, man, who they get now? They got Kendall Milton, who we talked about
Mm,
last week.
we did.
Uh, they got a bunch of dogs, a bunch of dogs.
Hmm.
But DeAndre Swift, he moved on. He's up in Chi-Town now. So
He was number two on that ranking. Caleb Williams was, as far as the quarterback going into the best situation. But they loaded him up with stars. I don't know what they did from an offensive line perspective, but he's got weapons out of the wazoo, bro.
yeah, we'll see. It's still Chicago
Yeah, they were good once upon a time.
in the
Got a
'80s.
Super Bowl more recently than us. Nah, even before
Yeah,
that, like Devin Hester.
they lost to the Indianapolis Colts in the Super Bowl that they went to in our lifetime.
I thought they, I thought they beat the Colts.
No, that was Peyton's first and only championship in Indy.
He lost to the Saints.
Yeah,
Peyton lost to the
and
Saints, beat the Bears. Okay. But Devin Hester took you to the crib on the first play of the game. I do remember
yeah.
that.
But anyways, to circle back to the not the Falcons, the Atlanta Braves,
Braves.
right? So we had an
Braves.
abysmal road trip, and our second biggest nemesis, uh, the the Dodgers, absolutely took us to the woodshed,
Yeah, handled us.
beat us like
Handled
their
us.
little brothers,
Hmm.
and so I say this: it's time to panic if you're a Braves fan. Not really. But it does ring the alarms, right? Like it does make you ask, what the heck is going on with this team? Why was it so bad? Um, why did we go on this run of, I want to say it was like 8 games of scoring less than 5 runs?
Yeah, we're in a major hitting slump. Were. We did pretty good the last 2 games. We did close out Boston tonight again.
Yeah, which is funny because is basically the same person that's been giving us offense all year. Marcelo
Yep.
Zuna.
Marcelo
Just
Zuna. He had an interview. It was hilarious. I gotta find that clip. We'll add it in the description. I put the battle on the ball, and the ball, the good pitch, and battle on the ball, and straight through the middle. I was like, hell yeah, man.
he did have a pretty bad slump that he was going through when they were on the road. I think he was like 1 for 20 something.
Mm,
But all in all, I say, it's time to panic. It's not really time to panic. It's May, right? And there are some things I'm concerned about, mainly pitching. We talked about that when Spencer Strider went down. I don't think Bryce Elder is the answer. He's the one that got really, really lit up.
he
And
got rocked.
yeah,
That's a 10-run game, right?
yeah, and
Or
he's
11 run.
he's a terrible matchup for the Dodgers because he throws a lot of finesse pitches, and if he hangs a curveball or he throws a lot of breaking stuff, and if you leave it up and you
You
hang
get
it,
rocked.
the Dodgers are one of the teams that are going to absolutely abuse you, and that's exactly what happened. So this was only his second start since coming up from Gwinnett. First start was against the Marlins. He started a little shaky, but I think he pitched a shutout. And so I was, hopeful. And then we get into this with the Dodgers, and he's getting absolutely blasted.
Yeah.
I
The
don't
pitching
think,
wasn't as bad in the Mariners series, right? Those were some low scoring games. They just had better pitching at that time.
honestly, I
Um,
don't think the pitching was terrible in LA outside of Bryce Elder and some bullpen. Like our starters, Charlie Morton did great. Honestly, that first game went to 11 innings, I believe.
with extras, yeah.
We lost an extra inning game against the Mariners. So those 2 games, if they go the other direction, we come home 500. So that's
Yeah.
a
Max
much.
Fried gave up 4 runs.
He did. He gave up 2 home runs, but
He went 7 though, which was nice.
all in all, he pitched pretty well. But Bryce Elder, man, he's. I don't think he's a major league arm. We'll see. I think they're gonna give him quite a bit of leeway just because of the history, and we'll see. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he rounds to form and he becomes, a serviceable fourth or fifth day starter. But I don't see it. If I was in the front office, I'd have a pretty short leash when it comes to him. I would much rather see AJ Smith Shawver or Darius Vines get some more run.
Yeah, but they got touched up even after he came out. Like Tyler Masick. Is he hurt again? What happened with Masick? They say they
Tyler,
think he's done.
he went on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. I haven't read exactly what's going on, but I did see something that said that it could be the end of an era. That being,
Yeah, that's what I saw, yeah.
and so that would tell me that the injury is pretty severe,
Mhm.
and he could require Tommy John again coming off of Tommy John. And if that's the case, the likelihood of him really playing for the Braves again would be pretty low. But like I said, I haven't gone and looked at any reports to read more about the injury. I assumed when I saw that he had been put on the 15-day IL is it's kind of our MO to if a pitcher is struggling, put him on the injured list, give him
Yeah,
some rest, get
they did
another.
that with Spencer, right?
Well, they did it with Spencer, but he was legitimately injured.
Oh, I
Um,
thought you were saying 15 days to evaluate, and then you find out how extensive the injury is.
oh no, I'm saying like sometimes they'll just put a guy on the injured list because he's been struggling, and they can just call it, elbow soreness or something, and they just give him
Hmm.
rest and get someone else on the roster. Like it's just a roster management loophole, right? It's just
Hmm.
kind of playing the system, and they
Yeah.
usually backdate it, so it's like you're on the 15-day IL, but it's backdated to like 4 days ago, so you're really available in 11 days.
We're gonna sit you for 2 starts. All right.
Basically. But yeah,
Yeah.
that
That wasn't fun
bullpen,
to watch, though. It's good to know that we came back. When we got a sweep of our own, two game series, but a sweep of our own now. So encouragement has returned a bit.
yeah, and we still have the best home record in baseball. It looks like Austin Riley's starting to hit the ball pretty well. I mean, we're not hitting home runs like we did last year,
Except Marcel, right?
except for
He had he had two tonight.
he's the major league leader in home runs and
Yeah,
RBIs right now. Um, but all in all, just watching the games, we're hitting the ball. We're just getting a little bit unlucky at times.
yeah,
Just hitting it into spots, or we think we got a home run and it dies like at the wall kind of situations. Matt Olson, gave the ball a ride a few times tonight and didn't get on base on those hits. So it's just it's a hard baseball's tough because you can hit the ball well, you can see the ball well, and it can really get you nothing in return if it's not placed in the right spot or doesn't get over the wall.
yeah.
And I think that's happening for a lot of our players, kind of all at the same time, unfortunately.
But no one slumps for a full season. You
No,
either start super hot and come out of it, or you start trash and come out of it.
and
Right.
if you look
If this
back
is the
at
worst that it can get, we're in pretty good shape.
if you look back at the past couple seasons, we've had, you know, less than stellar Mays and amazing Junes. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before that we didn't lose like a single game in June. It was
I
absolutely
remember that.
bananas. Now, you can't necessarily count and expect them to do the same thing this year, but we still have like 130 or 128 games left in the season. Like it's really
Mhm.
early, and I don't expect this to be, an indication on where we're going to go moving forward. Now,
Yeah, this
we
should be our low point.
we
We'll
can't.
lose series. We may get swept again, but I don't see that happening a lot. Like
Yeah.
sweeps shouldn't be something that we have. Our starting pitching has shown that they're actually pretty good, right? With Lopez and Chris Sale. Chris Sale looks like he's really good. Max Free looks like he's coming back into form. So and Charlie, oh man, Charlie seems like he still got some juice too. Every 3 games we should get a win out of one of those guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's been Lopez. That's been almost like
Yeah,
our guarantee to get a good outing. Chris Sale's looked pretty good recently. He's striking out people left and right. Uh,
yeah, 10 Ks today. Yeah,
he hasn't gotten the best run support in his starts, but he got, I don't know what the final score was, but when we logged on, it was 5-0. So he was doing pretty well.
yeah, that was fine.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm not going to panic yet. I am concerned, right? Like, I don't feel good about where we are at the moment, but I'm not, I'm not going to give up on them yet, right? Like the season's young. We're still one of the best in baseball record wise. We just
Mhm.
need to get things to start kind of going in our favor with some of those balls. Get Ronnie back to hitting the leather off the ball again. I mean, he's got 2 home runs. It's crazy.
Yeah, we had the sixth best record in MLB,
Yeah.
and we're only 2 behind the best record.
Which is the Phillies.
Ugh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's gross.
The Dodgers are a half game behind them, so it's Phillies, Dodgers. Our rivals is just running the show right now. So we're actually still really good. It sucked to drop 3 games to the Dodgers. It broke my heart, but I'm not concerned at all.
Yeah. Like I said, a couple of those were 1-run games. If they had gone, just a little bit different, we would be talking much different about that road trip.
Yeah, them speed the brakes.
Coming home 500 is a much different feeling than 1-5.
1-5, yeah.
Yeah.
The Mariners series were those 1 run games. We beat them 5-2. We lost 3-2 and lost 2-1.
But we
But
also
them
had
Dodgers games wasn't pretty. 5-1, 11-2, and then 4-3.
the first game against the Dodgers. We went to extra
It's a
innings.
4-3.
Yeah,
Yeah, they walked off on us.
yeah. That's not a good way to start out there in Hollywood.
No, they will pile on for sure.
It set the tone for a very tough weekend.
Hmm. But a lot more baseball to play.
Yeah,
And I'd rather start like this than finish like this. So I'm
yeah,
I'm still really optimistic. Championship or bust, baby. We know it's going to be a challenge because we're going to end up having to play one of those teams, guaranteed, in the playoffs. So
yeah.
Phillies or Dodgers, but yeah, we'll rise to the occasion when the situation is there.
We got time to get hot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right, man. Well, I feel like we're definitely over that hour, huh?
yeah, for sure. I want to know what your guys' take is on the Braves going out and losing 3 to the Dodgers. Leave a comment. How do you feel where we're at this season? Are you panicking? Are you what is it? Big deal, small deal, no deal? How do you
Big deal,
feel?
small deal, no good.
Yeah, is it a big deal? Is it a small deal, or is it no deal at all that we uh we lost 5 out of 6 on the road and 3 to our arch nemesis, the Dodgers? Let us know in the
Hmm.
comments. Appreciate all of y'all listening, supporting. We're up to 21 subscribers. Can we get 22? Can I buy a 22?
And I have a
Uh,
22.
but yeah, likes, subscribe, rate, review. Was it Kendrick, Lamar, Drake, Bitcoin, Bitcoin,
Lamar, Drake,
Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, Taylor Swift. There was some other news. Uh, I think that's probably good.
Yeah.
Throwing another Bitcoin, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Beyonce, Cowboy Carter.
All right, y'all. Well, we appreciate y'all. Keep tuning in, and we'll keep coming with some content.
Catch you on the flip.
Peace.